Ready, Jeff?
Hooray, sir.
It's 5:30. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have had a chance to look at the minutes from the July 11th regular meeting. Anybody have any questions about the minutes as presented? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And we have under the fiscal officer's report.
The board has received our revenue and appropriation status report as well as the monthly fund status report. And just for the record, we have $12,074,908.48 in our investment and checking accounts.
Okay. We have the current bills to pay. We have had a chance to take a look at these bills. Anybody have any questions about the bills? Is there a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And we have resolution 4867, a resolution amending permanent appropriation resolutions with supplemental appropriations. Anything particularly you want to point out on that, Jack? We looked at them.
Yeah, Linda had pointed out, and I had noticed some of the 229 funds, which do the insurance payments, were getting farther along than you would suspect at this time. And I hadn't included the 15% that the employees contribute, so that was the difference. I had put in the appropriation, the township part and the health savings account part. So that's what this is doing, is adding that, so we should be able to get through the remainder of the year.
And just for clarification, the employees still pay their 15%, but what I do at the end of the month is I use that as a reimbursing. I take their money and put it back into the township account. So we're whole as a township for that 15%.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about 4867? Is there a motion to approve? So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Anything else, Lynn?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we're moving on to special activities. We have Judges Loxley and Fisher here for a presentation. Gentlemen, nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. On behalf of the county court staff, Judge Fisher and I appreciate the opportunity to come out and talk to you this evening. We were last here 2 years ago and gave you kind of an update then, but this is going to be more of a classic update as opposed to the history of the court and a listing of the previous judges and things of that regard. So we want to let you know what we've done the last couple of years. Thanks for the opportunity to come out. We have a slideshow presentation. That's me, that's Judge Fisher, and those are the areas that we cover. And this is our court staff. We have 7 people who work for us there at the Warren County Court. We are very blessed to have a wonderful court staff working for us, not only for us, but also for the county court, for the community at large. They do a fantastic job. This just gives you an idea of the number of cases that we had the last full year. Obviously, it was last year. And you can compare to 2014 statistics that we have there on the left-hand side. Really, the only blip, if you want to call it that, is the number of traffic citations. You can see from 2014 to 2015. That really accounts for the total figure more than anything else. 2013 traffic citations actually were lower than the 2014 number by about 300, 350 or so. So it's just one of those anomalies on how many citations are written by the law enforcement agencies serving our jurisdiction. But other than that, all the other statistics are pretty much even. Let me talk a little bit about some docket changes which occurred in April of last year. We now have on-call weekend. Generally it's Saturday whenever you have a usual weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Domestic violence charges, individuals charged with that offense, as well as violations of temporary protection orders, have to be held for court. We have a regular bond schedule, of course, with the amount of bond posted, and a lot of people do that. But when it comes to DV and TPO cases, they have to see either a magistrate or a judge before they can be released from jail for obvious reasons. The legislature has determined that, and that's set by Ohio Revised Code. So what we did, since our last regular court day is Thursday afternoon, all the way until Tuesday morning, is go ahead and have an on-call rotation. Sometimes we show up, sometimes we don't have to. About half the time we do. The other two things listed there are specialized dockets. The state Supreme Court, back in January 2014, developed a specialized docket section, and they have bare bones minimum standards before a court here in the state of Ohio can call themselves a specialized docket. Well, I have an interest in veterans matters, and so I preside over the Veterans Court docket. Judge Fisher obviously has an interest, and we both do either way, but a special interest in mental health matters, and he has developed the Success specialized docket. He'll talk more about that in a moment. With regard to the veterans docket, here are some statistics that we have. Started last year in April. Since that time, 9 have been admitted to the program. We have a couple pending, actually, depending on who you talk to, maybe 3 or 4 pending. And it takes a while for them to get in. It's a voluntary program. They have to volunteer for it. The court just doesn't assign them to this court. If they volunteer and they have certain rules that they have to follow, it's a minimum 18-month process in an intensive probationary period. We bring together the Veteran Services Commission, representative from the Department of Veterans Affairs up in Dayton, that services all of Warren County, as well as our probation staff and our court staff. And we oversee that and come up with a individualized treatment plan for each veteran in our court, and we're very proud of the program. We are certified by the state Supreme Court. We got the interim certification in August last year, final certification in November for a 2-year period. The thing that separates our court, I think, from all other specialized dockets is the fact that we have peer mentors, volunteers from the community. We also have civilian volunteers who have no military experience at all, and they show up at court and they support us big time. But those peer mentors are honorably discharged veterans who are married up with the veterans who volunteer for our program, and they're there 24/7 for those veterans to contact anytime they might need somebody to talk to or any other type of assistance or a shoulder to lean on. And we have a fundraiser coming up later in the year.
What type of violations would be encompassed by this program?
Well, we have not excluded any type of violations. We actually have somebody in our program now who has a domestic violence charge. And we've taken a long, hard look at whether or not, public relations might be affected for somebody being admitted with that type of charge. But under the circumstances, he's progressing well, and he's the type of person who needs this program. So we haven't excluded any. Obviously, if you have somebody who's a career criminal and is not really the type of person to be rehabilitated, we take a long, hard look, and we deny individuals even though they wanted to be in it. For example, one particular case that you asked, an individual who was homeless living in a tent in Caesars Creek. But this gentleman had been to prison. He was a sex offender, and he had to register, and so he couldn't even live in the homeless shelter that the VA could provide for him because of his status as a registered sex offender. And with that, I'm going to turn the presentation, unless you have any questions, over to Judge Fishman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And while Judge Loxley has his interest naturally in the Veterans Court, my interest in the mental health doesn't come as natural from my own experience, but from
Speak
my
for
family
yourself.
experiences.
Christy may feel differently.
Our success docket is what we call our mental health docket. We didn't want to have a stigma attached. We wanted people to know that when they leave the program, when they graduate the program, they are a success. Many of the individuals in that program have been told they're nothing, they're worthless, they're incapable of doing anything, which really beats them down. They beat them down, themselves down. Now, we have 12 right now, like the Veterans Court. The only exclusion we have is sex offenders. We do take domestic violence cases. Many of the domestic violence cases we have are an adult child against a parent. Because they're living in the home and there's a lot of tension. So we figured that we should take those cases and try to help those people through. Our first graduation's coming up. We're looking at October, probably going to be November, December, depending on what happens Wednesday this week when we have our docket. A couple of the things that we are looking to do, we have found that almost all of the people in our docket do not even have their GED. So we brought in the Career Center to come in to talk to them about getting their GED courses, get that program started, and to see how they can fund it, as well as many of them don't have jobs. So we're looking at a possible job fair for many of the
probationees in our program to get them aboard and hopefully out of the program. Some of the other court changes we made, the computerizations, as you guys are aware, everyone uses computers. So we had to increase the computerization fund so that we're looking at long-term and how we're going to be with the new case management system. So we increased our computerization funds, one from $1 to $3, the other from $3 to $10, just so that we can make sure that we have enough funds in the future for that. Our case management system, we rolled out May 1st or May 2nd, I guess was the Monday. And that one, it's Pioneer Benchmark. Our goal is paperless. We're not there yet, but through the extensive help from our clerk's office as well as our staff, it's becoming closer and closer to a paperless system for the judges' purposes. There are a couple bugs that we're working out that we expected, some we didn't expect, but that's okay. We're still working through this. It is going to be much more user-friendly for the community in addition to ourselves at the staff in the court. Some significant issues that we encountered that we just want to make sure we mention, and the one on the right, everyone here is aware of the heroin epidemic. I know you guys encounter it all the time. Narcan has helped, but there are some interesting changes on the market right now that the heroin is being cut with something different than fentanyl, that Narcan is able to touch it, that they're concerned that Narcan will not be able to reverse. The other issue is jail overcrowding. You've probably heard our jail is full. We get emails every day of how many people they're over at the jail or if there are beds available. Very seldom do we get the email that says there are beds available. And that's both for men and women. So it is an issue. The biggest issue for us is our people then don't have consequences and they don't have accountability. Therefore, they think they can go ahead and re-offend. So that's probably some of the biggest issues that we encounter. Finally, our community outreach. We believe it's important as elected officials to be out in a community like this. This is just a small sampling of things that Judge Loxley and I do throughout the year. Two big things are the drug impact panel and the domestic violence impact panel, where we bring people into the courtroom to discuss. But we like to just get out and get involved as all of you do. Any questions?
No?
Well, again, thank you very much for allowing us to come in. I think we kept it short enough. All right.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for allowing us to be. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Good night. Have a good evening.
Thank
You too.
Stay
You're
cool.
certainly welcome to stay, but I get it.
We are gonna be talking about street lighting districts, and I know how that's a favorite subject of yours, Judge Fisher. so-
Well, you know, street lighting may help solve some of the crime, keep it lit so that you don't have all these people breaking in, but I don't think that's a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Hearing that, I'm leaving. Take care.
You're a wise man, Judge Loxley.
Okay, under unfinished business, we have resolution 4866, which is a resolution determining maintenance of track 0936 451 009 constitutes a nuisance.
This was the one that we had last trustees meeting, we put on hold. Wanted to see, just to bring it back as old business. Is there something you want to proceed with or have further discussion?
Well,
I did a site visit and I didn't see anything that I thought was out of the ordinary. It appears to me that the farmer has done over and above what normally happens by planting a tree line as that buffer. And I'm assuming at his expense, but that's not a natural tree line. There's a lot of evergreens there, so. I didn't see the 10-foot dead grass either, but, did we find anything else out about the consequence?
Yeah, there was a fence partition law Mr. Wade referred to in that memorandum, it's chapter 971, in which case, I don't remember now off the top of my head, I think it was required to have 10 feet on each side, and the owners would agree to it. If the owners didn't agree to it, then they would bring it back in front of you. You all would have to view it, you all would have to make your determination, and then if you determined the owner wasn't complying, then you could go out and mow it, and then charge the owner and assess the owner like you would any other nuisance. So that's the other option, is using the fence partition law. But it would require all of you, interestingly, unlike this nuisance, it does require a view. So before you would invoke that, I know Mr. Gabbard just said he's been out there, but Mr. Wade, Mr. Munisipal would have to be out there before we can even invoke that provision under 971.
It didn't appear to, did you guys, either one get a chance to stop out there? It did appear to me that he gave himself enough space to even be able to mow behind the trees when he planted them, with the intention of that just taking care of the issue.
It certainly doesn't look very bad to me. That's probably one of the minor
I
things.
think one of the challenges of the residents that, at least the one I spoke to, was
I think the
that
residents here.
he made a comment to me about having to go, well, there were skunks coming out of the trees. Well,
You're in the country.
exactly, and that's exactly what I said to him. I
Is this
said,
it?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, you live up against a farm. I said, you're lucky that skunks are the only thing that are coming out of those trees. I mean,
Well, that's not the only thing coming out.
well, right, but I didn't want to cause undue panic. But that was, I think, the disconnect between the two issues was, even though they've lived there for a while and they've dealt with this in the past, I think there's been some run-ins between a couple of them. I think he's done more than, if I were to put myself in that situation, I wouldn't have gone to the expense to plant that many trees to create that buffer. I mean, he spent some money on evergreens, so. And within 2 or 3 years, those evergreens are gonna be big enough to smother out that grass and he won't have to worry about mowing any of it. Correct, Jeffrey?
Yes, I would agree.
And so every once in a while he needs to trim them.
That'll probably be the next issue with the trees.
Well, I would think that'll be next, but yeah.
It is what it is.
So I have the statute in front of me, it's 4 feet, and then if the one owner notifies the other within 10 days, and then there's nothing done, then the owner can come in front of the board, then the board would view it, and the board would determine at that point. So that's the 971 process, which is not the process you have in front of you, the process you have in front of you is nuisance.
Well, personally, I would not vote to classify this as a nuisance. I would deny this personally, and if he wants to bring it before us, he has every right to do that, and then we'll go view it and make a decision. But at this point, it'd certainly be my recommendation on what do you guys think? It looks pretty good.
No, it's,
I wish all my fence lines were. so
Exactly
good.
right.
They're not.
Well, and it strikes me that the landowner, the farmer, wouldn't be bothered if they just hit it with Roundup on their side, as they have claimed he has done.
Yeah, it becomes property. under
That's not gonna
property,
kill an
so-
evergreen tree, I mean, so, but, okay, well, I may, because the one resident is
How about you?
yeah, it's a friend, it's a former coach actually of one of my kids, I'll probably pass that along and just say, you know what? Why don't you be proactive instead of reactive and just spray this stuff with Roundup? If it's that much of a concern, I still don't see it. I got out of the car, I walked back to the property line, and usually I would announce, but I was in the middle of the afternoon, nobody was there, so.
Whose fence is it? Just curious.
I believe it's the farmer's fence.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. So, again, the fence itself, and then, it's a horse farm though, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so,
But this is a separation, their track is separated by space. It's
Yeah.
not right against this area, so there's, I figured that's where we were gonna go, but since it was requested, I wanted to bring it before you
Sure.
guys to have that discussion.
Okay. Is there a motion to deny 4866?
so moved.
Second?
I'm sorry. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay?
Mr. Mearsclaw? Mr. Wade?
Okay. Moving on to new business administration, we have resolution 4868, a resolution providing for changes in the Clearcreek Township street lighting system by establishing villages of Winding Creek turning leaf section 4 lighting district. There we have it. I assume this is standard operating procedure.
Yeah, if I can just step in, I'm not sure where Jack stepped out to, but it's the normal streetlight districts that we do. As a process of plating, they want to have streetlights, therefore we have to go through this process in order to create the streetlight district, so that those can go forward and then eventually be built.
You don't have anything special about your street lighting district, do you?
Other than I had to amend the resolution because I had some mistakes on it. That's what I was doing.
All right. Is there a
So
motion?
4568 is a different one? Is that right?
No, the
48,
agenda's
68.
right, but I didn't modify turning leaf section 4 and then some of the
Okay,
specifics.
wait a second, I'll read this one so we don't get confused. And we need the original from, that's what kind of discombobulated. We need 4866. I think it's probably in the book or someplace from
Right,
last.
it was from
Oh.
last meeting,
Yeah,
because it's out of, it was out of
it
order.
was out of order,
Yeah.
so it doesn't take much. Do we take, I don't think we have a motion to.
You want the amendments to it for the record or the new resolution
For 86 or 68?
for the lighting district?
We have not taken a motion on that yet.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
So whatever,
so a motion to, do you have something of importance?
Well, the amendment is turning leaf section 4. I have missed a couple spots in the resolution, which is now corrected.
Okay,
And the total for the lights is 8 instead of 3. The total dollar amount is $396 instead of the $148.
But other than that, it was,
but
Other than that, it was spot on, yeah.
the resolution that you guys are passing has all those corrections in it,
Yes.
so we're good to go.
right.
okay. Is there a motion to approve 4868?
Second,
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yeah.
Mr. Gabbard?
yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. Okay, and under Police District, we have Resolution 4869, a resolution amending and revising Clearcreek Township Police Department policies and procedures for patrol.
I think this is our final correction for Kalia. They were in last week and did their inspections, and they will be notified in November at the annual conference how we fared on that. They gave me a outgoing interview on Wednesday, and there were 3 changes in the way that they word things, and this is one of those changes that they wanted, the way we annually review some of our policies and stuff. They have a verbiage change that they wanted that's across the board for them, and that's what this change is here specifically. Other than that, CALIA went fine. We do a full-blown CALIA process. There is a kind of an honorable mention section of that where they go through and do 100 and some look backs at the police department. We go almost to over 500 item budget. So proud of our staff for putting that together and getting through it. It's thorough, so often it's good. There's going to be some computer changes coming up that stuff will be reported a little more on time with them yearly, and that'll allow them to move out inspections every 4 years instead of every 3 years, and save us a little bit of money on the far end there. But everything went fine with that. This is simply a resolution just changing some verbiage for them and what they wanted to say now. So that's, if you have any questions about that, I'd answer.
Okay, anybody have any questions? 4869?
I was gonna jump in a little bit. I know, Chief, you said it went fine. He's understating. The 2 assessors who were here, who come from independent agencies and do this, they were extremely complimentary. They commended the chief for, the way he ran the department, but everybody they interacted with had a good attitude, and the 2 said, we don't see this everywhere. So you guys are doing a really good job, and a lot of the conversations we had, or some of the conversations we had with the state of policing and things the way they are, it's more, now more than ever, CALIA is a protection, and not on the front end and the back end. So on the front end, the training, and it pushes you to do certain things. And then on the back end, because you followed your procedures. So Chief he understated a little bit how happy they were with the organization. So I just wanted to make sure I bragged a bit about the department and the chief.
Because I'm humble and shy.
No, that's not.
That just verifies Okay. Well, with that being said, thank you very much, and thanks, Chief, for a good job and all your staff. nice to hear. Is there a motion to approve 4869?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yeah.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And we have a purchase recommendation to renew our annual leads program with fees of $42.60.
Yeah, each of the cars has to have a licensing program for each of the computers and so forth. The leads is where we obtain all of our information for the license plates we run, the license we run, warrant checks and all that stuff. It's an integral component to doing our job every day. We pay the state patrol for that function. It's based out of their computer systems. The cost is $42.60. I would ask the board approve that because it's a necessary item to do our job.
Now, is this separate than the camera that sees them and identifies cars, or is this something the patrolman would just call in?
Yeah, this is separate. This is the computer system that, the state has this database. We have to pay to access it. And there has to be a license for each computer in the car. There's a little token that we have to pay a rental on, just like the county has us do now for logging into computer systems, and that generates a random number so that they can hack the computers and so forth. So it's a necessary component of doing our job every day. The license plate readers are a totally separate system that comes out of Cincinnati. It was originally a grant.
Right.
We will be evaluating that because the grant is no longer there. So as those machines start having difficulty, it will be a decision as to whether or not we want to reinvest in that in some way, and I'm not totally sold just yet. So as that continues on, we'll see how that goes. Right now, that's still operating, but there's not grant funds anymore to help replace some of that, so, but it's a totally separate system.
This program, like when you pull somebody over and you run their license, it will show that they've had 3 tickets or.
Yeah, it shows all our information. It accesses their license database. It tells you who the car is registered to, what kind of car it is, whether or not the car or the occupants are wanted in some way, or the license is stolen, or the car is stolen, or that the license plate report is stolen. So it's the officers use that daily. Every time that they issue a citation or pull a person over, they access that system every day on every shoot.
Are they limited to how many times they use it?
Yeah.
And this is a similar price as it's been before, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it's changed in years. I think it's pretty close to where it's been at,
Yeah. Okay, is there a motion, any other questions? Is there a motion to approve this recommended purchase?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And resolution 4870 is a resolution accepting a donation from Dr. and Mrs. Fishman to the Clearcreek Fire Department. Is there a motion to accept that donation?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. And then we have a salary increase recommendation for Jennifer, is it Whittle? Whittle. Permanent part-time fire clerk for $16 per hour effective August 1st.
She completed her annual review, got above expectations, and she's doing her annual.
Okay. So motion to approve this pay increase.
Just maybe I can give you, because Assistant Chief Agenbrod wasn't here last year when we did this. Jennifer is a part-time clerk with the fire department. She moved to full-time when we lost Susie Romans. And so this time last year, she went full-time only for, it wasn't for good, it was for however long it took to get somebody. So that's how she got off schedule with the end of the year. So that's why she's August 1st, and that, it's been a year since she moved to that $15 last year. She went back to the part-time role in February or thereabouts when Annette came on and got going.
And if I could just add something, sorry, I didn't mean the Jennifer Whittle show here, but she didn't really want to go full-time. She only did that as a courtesy to us, and she does an outstanding job. I mean, we're lucky to have, in my opinion,
You're absolutely right.
from my end of it, she does an outstanding job.
Very much so.
Good. Very good. Okay, thank you all very much. Zoning department?
Wait.
We need to
wait,
approve it.
We need to approve
We
it.
haven't approved.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the pay increase?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Zoning Department, we have resolution 4871, a resolution determining that maintenance of 2981 Mida 5 Road constitutes a nuisance.
Only one nuisance this week, isn't that awesome?
Two
This is
dry,
a,
two dry.
I was gonna say it's indicative of no rain.
we actually did have a lot that got resolved over the weekend, so that's good. This is a tract that has been abandoned, so to speak. It's up for sale and it has not been maintained all season, so we're getting some phone calls. Since it's over 5 acres, we're just requesting the minimum distance of the picture frame be mowed. House, if you look on the aerial, the house and barn is in the front, and it's boarded off for stabling and turn out all the fun stuff in the back. The concern is truly in the front. That's what the neighbors are complaining every time they go through the curve, that they're seeing that lack of care, so that's the request.
It is for sale?
Yes.
Okay. That's the one I had called you about a while back, I believe.
Possible.
Yeah,
We've talked about a couple, so.
yeah.
Okay, is there a motion to approve resolution 4871?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. Anything else from the zoning department?
No, sir.
Steve, I didn't ask you, do you have anything else? And road department?
Nothing for the agenda, just an update. We should get the small dump back this week, is what I've been told, with the transmission. And then we're also supposed to get the large international in sometime this week, but from my experience, that typically means 2 weeks. So, and then it'll go out to Katy Rose to be outfitted. So.
Very good. Anybody have any questions for Scott?
How long have they had the dump truck?
3 weeks, a little over.
How long did they tell you they would have the dump truck?
He said when he got parts, it'd take a week. I don't know when he got his parts. So when I called, he said he was waiting on parts. So there's always a little room for him to wiggle. So yeah, but yeah, we got by without it, so everything's okay as long as everything's good when we get it back.
Okay. Staff updates, anything particular to bring up?
Well, we hadn't talked about it, but I thought Scott might have talked about the crack filling machine that uses emulsion that they tested out from the county. And we are gonna run some numbers just to make sure we got a good idea, but it's a rental that, it's a $5,000 a month to rent this machine. The company has sold the one they had in stock to rent, so apparently they will buy one if we commit to a month. I think you did quarter horse earlier this year, correct?
Yeah, we did quarter horse with the milling and hot mix.
Yeah, so they're the way they've been doing them, and you got 24 cracks done in.
I got a quick rundown of some small numbers here if you want to hear them.
Sure.
We did quarter horse, there were 44 cracks on quarter horse. We milled them and we did them with hot mix. It took us 9.8 days, an additional day to go back with some crack sealer to go around them. We had about 350 man hours in that, and I can go into some costs and stuff if you want, but just as a quick comparison, we did Magnolia and Whispering Way, which was 34 cracks, 10 less, and 5.5 hours with 22 man hours.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's...
At $5,000, it's pretty cheap.
You can buy one and rent it out.
That's what I've been telling them. They did.
Is it the same quality?
The county said they've had some out there for 3 years. That,
You know this better than anybody. The quality's good?
well, when the county came out to demo it with us for a day, they didn't tell us until after, when I spoke to the owner of the company, that when you put the emulsion and the material in, you're actually supposed to roll it in. For some reason, the guy from the county, we didn't do that.
What
So
did you do, dump it in?
we just put it in. He
With
didn't
a
tell us to
shovel?
roll it in. And you can also do it with a whacker, but he said it's a lot better to use the roller. So, and the roller's like $1,800 a month. So you're talking, to do it right, in their opinion, you're at $5,000 for the machine, and then to rent it for a month. And to purchase the machine's about $54,000 if you wanted to purchase the machine. And then the stone is, when we did it for the county to do what we did, those two entire streets, we had $640 worth in emulsion, and we had $48 in stone. The stone's only $8.05 a ton, the emulsion's $4 a gallon. So we had total cost of material $688. And to put that in comparison, just to go back and rent the crack sealer machine, they only rent it weekly is anywhere from $1,800 to $2,100 a week just to rent the crack sealer machine to go back out to fill in those cracks. So the numbers are night and day. I mean, I can break it down as far as you'd like, but I got to a point and I'm like, there's really no point going any further, so.
Can you lease to own this machine?
I don't know, I mean, I literally had said, why don't we buy one, get others to commit to want to use it and buy it, but if we do it for a month and kind of exclusively focus on cracks for a month, I don't know how many times we're gonna need to do that every year. We're gonna get the cracks done pretty quick. But yeah, we're looking at some different options, but clearly it's a no-brainer, because when you get 21 cracks done by 11 a.m. in the morning, and you get 44 done in 10 days, the other way, it's, and to answer your question as far as the quality or how good, there are different methods, but anytime you cut a street, you just create more opportunity for water to get down in there and break the surface, because it's supposed to be kind of a pliable surface in general. So being an engineer, the crack filler, if it can roll with the crack some, that actually interests me more than cutting the street up, any more than you have to, so. I think it's an advantage to do it with this machine and filling the crack rather than cutting it
Do
out
you
anyway.
think you would use it more than a month a year? If you spent it, in other words, if July was, well, a crack month,
It would honestly just be a matter of renting it for a month and seeing how far we can go with it.
Yeah.
I mean, the more we use it, the quicker we're gonna
well,
get.
May and June, you're busy mowing, you're not gonna be doing that anyway.
Well, those guys are always mowing, they never stop.
Okay.
So we lose them as soon as spring gets here. But we did get Jeff back today.
Oh, good.
He's back until September, and then he's gonna have a surgery and he'll be out 6 weeks or so, and then he'll be back again. So we did get him back today, which is a huge help, because it's, just having the extra driver alone really helps. So, but yeah, I mean, we gotta go to Lima, they say, to get the stone, because it's a clean wash, sandy 9 to use. And you can actually leave it out in the rain and stuff like that, and if you're gonna use it tomorrow, load up your truck, let it sit in the garage, it'll dry, and you can use it straight from that. If you go to Melvin Stone, it has a little bit more powder in it, so they suggest you sit it in for a day or two. But if we can get it from Lima, we don't even have to dry it or put a roof over the stone or nothing, so. I mean, that's the way to go, and looked it up today, it's about an hour-and-a-half drive, but it's over an hour and 2-hour turnaround when we go to Melbourne, so it's actually closer, so.
Yeah, I'd say, let's run it, because, at least for the first year, because if we purchase without all the unknowns known, then you've got maintenance, you've got storage, you've got.
We don't know what the maintenance is, that 2 or 3 year old machine could, and depending on how much you get done, which sounds like for a whole month, get a heck of a lot.
I was gonna say, keep good notes, so we know what we're dealing with, and
Yeah. Something
move
pretty
forward
awesome.
after that.
We can definitely do that.
Great, good
And
information.
you've got the manpower to be able to,
Yeah,
As long as
sooner rather
everybody's
than
healthy.
later would be good while Jeff's still here.
right,
That'll help tremendously, and, that leaves, me, Bob, and, Jeff, and, Ryan can come in and out, and Dennis can come in and out typically, so. We can always get a guy from the park too, if we need to, on a couple slow days for them, so. Yeah, it takes about 4 guys to do it right, but you cover a lot of ground that way. And that's usually, sometimes we can get by with 3 the other way, but 4 is better, so. The only thing we will have to do is on the back of the small dump, on the tailgate, we're gonna have to put a hole in there, and we'll run a tube through there, because it comes through and you have to shovel it down into a pan, which feeds the
Right.
Durapatch machine, which that's not a big deal. You can slide a plate over it and you're not using
Right.
it, so. These guys can fabricate that up in the shop, no problem.
Sure.
So.
Good. sounds pretty interesting, yeah, good. What, do you want a motion, we probably need a motion to go ahead and, direct him to rent that for a month, what I
It's,
call
there's
it.
not one available to rent, is there?
Hey, let us get, because I don't know if we're gonna, what the cost is gonna be for the stone, like, total, so we're,
Okay.
I think we're
Okay
good
for that.
at a future meeting.
Yeah, we've got an
Get all
early
that
meeting in
approved.
The
August.
stone is separate. We'll go up and get that and stock it here. So that's separate. I mean, that's gonna be, we'll go out and buy a few $100s worth of time.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we did it for the whole day and had $48 in stone. So we'll stock that ourselves. And the emulsion, we can actually get from where we rent the machine at. So we'd have to go down to Monroe to fill it up. But I think it was a 220-gallon tank, and we used 160 gallons, you know, at about $640 we used for the whole day.
So didn't you, the guy said he doesn't have a machine for you to rent today?
He has, the person's renting theirs out and they like it so much, he said they're gonna buy it. But he told me if we were to do the monthly rental, they'll take a new machine or almost a brand new demo machine and put it in as their rental to have one available for us. But they wouldn't do it for anything less than a monthly rental. But if we
They
do
won't
it,
do it for a week, but they'll do it for a month.
right, so if we did it for a month, then they would go ahead and put one of those in as a rental unit and it'll become their
They
rental
can do a
unit.
demo also for,
Okay.
I'll pursue it, and get us, that's good. That's like a real money saver, it sounds like. Okay, anything else for road department or comments, staff reports?
I do have update, the house on State Route 48, the tenant has moved out, ended their lease, so
Okay,
Berkshire Hathaway, Carrie Robbins manages that, and I think she's got some potential, so it'll be re-tenanted. We need to paint the inside, which we'll probably do that internally, or with their own people, but we went and, the park guys went and cleaned up the outside, and there's some stuff with the gutters just to clean out some of the boards on the exterior, but she was confident she'd get another tenant in there probably within a month or two.
anything else?
National Night Out next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
5 to 9, I'll pass out some shirts as soon as they come in.
It's 5 to 9.
Okay.
Do
We
you
do
need
have,
us to do anything?
Do you have to do anything?
No, do you need us to do anything?
Nikki is, usually got all those things covered, so.
clean up.
If you wanna jump in somewhere, yeah, clean up. But if you wanna jump in somewhere, you're more than welcome, but, I think she's good, she handles that stuff well, so.
She does.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? We do have an executive session scheduled, so I'd like to entertain a motion for motion number 3872 to recess this meeting and go into executive session. So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.